What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12OZsports.com. Broadcasting live on YouTube, X, and Roku TV. I am your host, Andrew Romanella, and I am back, I think, better than ever, but we'll figure that out over the next 30 minutes and change. Tune into the show any way you can. YouTube and X, you can comment live. The Rome Show 1 is the social media handle. 12OZ Sports is the mothership. Follow us anywhere and comment whenever you feel necessary. We got a great show for the people today. We missed Monday, and as you can see on the board behind me, the reason being, the flu. And it is no joke. Ladies and gentlemen, I was on what felt like 48 hours of a zero movement policy. I felt like I was back in COVID times. Everyone avoiding me, masks everywhere. I got a Lysol everything in my house. And today is probably the first time I have gotten up on my feet truly in the last 2.5 to 3 days. So I am here to tell everybody out there, first, be healthy. If you're feeling anything, don't go in, because this flu is nothing to mess with. And I am like the ultimate don't get sick person. And I didn't go to work, didn't go to baseball practice, and did nothing over the weekend because of this thing. So that made me miss you on Monday, but boy, am I excited to be back on this Tuesday, February 4th. And there was a lot happening the last 48 hours in both the NBA and the NFL, besides the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs have showed up in New Orleans. It's officially Super Bowl week. We started going through all the interviews, started doing all the fun Super Bowl stuff. That has happened, and a lot is starting to matriculate as we get closer and closer to the big game on Sunday. But that's not even close to the storylines that we have to talk about today on the Rome Show. The first and the foremost is Luka Doncic being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and other cash considerations and players and all picks and all these other things. Wild trade. Second is De'Aaron Fox being traded to San Antonio to team up with Wemby and CP3 in a three-team deal that you see Zach LaVine then go to Sacramento. And when all of this is going on, and you're thinking, wow, the NBA is popping off right now, this could be arguably the largest trade in NBA history, okay? You have Myles Garrett and the Los Angeles Rams both say, oh, excuse me, hold my beer. Because then Myles Garrett requests a trade out of Cleveland, and the Los Angeles Rams tell Cooper Kupp that they're going to trade him this offseason. So I don't know what was in the Kool-Aid, okay, on Friday into this weekend. But whatever was drinking by Nico Harrison, the Mavericks GM, and whoever's running the Los Angeles Rams really gave us some great storylines and a lot to talk about over the next few weeks, because even though in the NBA this trade has happened, there's so much to matriculate after this trade from the rest of Luka's career, honestly. But in the short term, both those players being injured, Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic, and them playing each other in 2.5 weeks. So the Rome Show on this Tuesday, very excited to talk to the people and play catch up on a few of the things I might have missed yesterday. I want to start with the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade, okay? Because obviously, as I've been reading all these reports over the last 2 days, it's clear and obvious that literally nobody, okay, nobody, minus the general managers of both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks, knew what was going to happen, okay? I got some clips from the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, Nico Harrison, okay? And before I play these clips, I must say this. I need you to focus on a few things. The first being the head ball coach of the Dallas Mavericks, Jason Kidd, okay? Because In some of this commentary, GM Harrison is trying to explain why he just arguably traded one of the best players of this and the future generation, because the dude's only 25 years old, all right? Tries to explain away why he did this and even states that Jason Kidd didn't know. And if you watch Jason Kidd's face, the entirety of this press conference, it looks exactly like somebody that is trying not to indict themselves. Trying to, oh, well, you know what? Coach said we have to do this. Whether I agree or not, I have to do what coach says. So without further ado, here is Nico Harrison, general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, trying to justify sending Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis. By the way, a few other players were mixed up in this deal, including Max Kleber and Markieff Morris, who are now also on the Lakers. And then Max Christie with Anthony Davis are now on the Mavericks, including a first-round pick. So besides the fact that trading Luka got you nothing really in return that is beneficial long-term for the franchise, you also might have just indicted you as the most hated person in Dallas. Here's the general manager of the Mavericks trying to explain this trade.
You know, trades, you guys have been around here. Trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, you know, really intense conversations over the course of, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever, I don't know, would I? Let me think of, and then it built upon that. And, we kept it between us. We had to keep.
First off, stop it right there, okay? This is the best, top 3 player in the league, top 5 player in the league in Luka Doncic, okay? There's only 2 players of 3 in NBA history that have ever averaged 25, 7, and 7, and they are now both on the same team in LeBron James and Luka Doncic. So, on January 7th, Rob Pelinka says, would you ever think about trading Luka Doncic? And you're honestly going to say, well, maybe. Stop it, dude. Just be honest with the people. You didn't like him. You didn't want him here. You didn't believe he was your future. But we'll let you continue on really quick, Nico, trying to justify this trade.
Keep it tight. J. Kidd didn't know about it. But J. Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the
looks like you're aligned.
Create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him. Hey, would you like, so I know that.
Hey, J. Kidd, would you like me to trade a 25-year-old top 5 player in the league who maybe has a few conditioning issues and we got to work on his defense a little bit for a 32-year-old, often injury-prone player who, is probably the best big in the league when he's healthy, but is also 32, often injured, and is on the back 9 of his career instead of still the front 9 of his career? Jason Kidd would probably be like, oh, yeah, get rid of Luka, because his face in this interview is really telling you that, Nico.
And J. Kidd coached them when they won a championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so I felt good about it making sense to where we're trying to go.
I don't even feel good about you making sense of this trade, dog. Like, think about what you just said, okay? Me and J. Kidd are aligned. J. Kidd has not stopped staring in one location for this entire minute clip. I'm sorry, but you could disagree with the conditioning of Luka Doncic. You could disagree with the way he plays defense, okay? But you cannot disagree with the fact that he is must-see basketball. You also can't disagree that he led your team in almost every important category during the playoffs last year. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, which is a defensive stat, by the way, field goals, three-pointers, free throws, and minutes played, okay? Now, before we continue on hearing from Mavs general manager Nico Harrison, and he's 1,000% correct, he will be judged long-term on what happens, okay? And only time will tell if this is a good trade or a bad trade. But the bottom line is, okay, as a general manager, you often shouldn't, at least this is just my opinion, and I feel like this is going to be a really plus opinion here. You probably shouldn't make decisions on the roster and your team without at least consulting your head coach. Okay. Wow. Jason Kidd was an assistant coach on the Los Angeles Lakers in 19 and 20 when they won the NBA Finals in the bubble. Oh, you know what? You're right. We should trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Okay. And that really sets us up for the future, which, by the way, Nico Harrison explains here in this clip.
The time frame, I think he fits our time frame. If you pair him with Kyrie and the rest of the guys, he fits right along with our time frame to win now and win in the future. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future, 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay by then, or we bury ourselves.
Yes.
All right, I know there's a lot.
Oh my God, talk about awkward. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, I just don't know if I believe in this guy anymore. And I think the biggest thing that's bothering me about this entire trade is the stories that are coming out about the Nico Harrison not liking Luka in this way, or firing certain people within the organization that Luka became tight with, or the video surfacing of them taking the beer out of Luka's hand when they won the conference finals last year. Like, so many stories are starting to come out. Okay. And I'm not going to sit here and say that none of it's on Luka Doncic either. If he's way heavier than he should be, if he's not playing good enough defense, those are all things that need to be addressed. Do not get me wrong. Okay. But you have to really think about it and say to yourself, where will our franchise be in 5 years? You said this fits your 3 to 4 year window. Cool. But in 3 to 4 years, Anthony Davis, often injured, not often playing 80 games a year, and also not often in the playoffs, by the way, but just a whole nother aside. Anthony Davis is 35 years old. Okay. Luka's 27, 28. And with a little bit more life perspective and few more maybe losing seasons under his belt, maybe there is a way to get through to Luka. But I can't imagine that this competitor that I've watched in the league for the last 6 years become one of the best pure players in the NBA, definitely offensive. I just can't imagine that he'd be so selfish, so individualistic that he wouldn't even think about doing anything to continue to get better to win a championship. And by the way, 8 months ago, this team with that same Luka Doncic, with that same bad conditioning, with that same bad defense, was in the NBA Finals. Okay? And yeah, maybe he complains a little bit too much about calls. Maybe he does need to play better defense. Maybe his conditioning isn't straight. Okay. But this dude's been playing pro basketball since he's 16 years old. Okay. He had an MVP before some dudes even had a high school diploma. All right. So clearly, being elite at the game of basketball is in his bread and butter. All right. And maybe, just maybe, he needs to get his conditioning better. But have we ever thought, though, that some things make the person who they are? I'm not saying that Luka should be overweight and not in condition, but I'm also not saying that he needs to be Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, because that's not who he's been his whole life. Okay? And as you get older, you deal with different things. He's got more money. He's got more options to go out. And still, with all of that, he had the best season of his career last year. He brought the team to the finals. Okay, so maybe in the offseason, Nico Harrison and gang should have doubled down on what Luka wanted instead of taking things away. Okay, because what you did is you just pushed the guy farther away, and now you've traded him away. And I got to be honest with you, when's the next championship coming for the Dallas Mavericks? Do we all really think that Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and the rest of that cast of characters, Klay Thompson and others, are good enough for the Dallas Mavericks to win a title in the next 2 or 3 years? So you're talking about aging point guard, aging center, aging three-point shooter. Last time I checked, in the National Basketball Association, when you put together a group of 3 aging stars, it doesn't really work. Okay? And that's now what the Dallas Mavericks have. And hey, we all might crush Nico Harrison, and we all might have to eat our words somewhere down the line, because maybe he's right and we're wrong. But it's just really hard for me to believe that the option was trade Luka instead of do whatever we can to try and make this right. And furthermore, what the hell type of trade operation is this? You only talk to the Lakers? You don't talk to any other team in the league. So essentially, you're telling me you didn't like Luka that much, or you have such an affinity for your boy Rob Pelinka, either one, that you actually didn't do the best justice for your franchise. Okay? You didn't do what you possibly could do. You know, honestly, if it was me, I would have called the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay? The second coming of Anthony Davis is in New Orleans right now, in Zion Williamson. Okay? Little bit younger, same injury proneness, drafted to New Orleans, knew he'd probably leave after, 6 years of his career being there. You want to take a risk on somebody? Go try and get Zion, okay? Why don't you make that move, all right? I get Anthony Davis, 5-time all-defensive, 10-time all-NBA or whatever. I got it, all right? But no matter what, you're taking a risk on a big that is injury prone. And so if you're going to take a risk on a big that's injury prone, maybe why not go after the guy that has a few more years not played underneath his belt? That's just a spitball. I'm not saying that that's the right move either. That could be a stupid decision as well. It's just looking at the whole thing and saying, you only called the Lakers? Come on, man. Like, you're not, that's franchise malpractice. Like, it's your job as the general manager to get the best possible trade you can get. And you didn't do that because you had personal vendetta against Luka. Here's what Luka had to say in his letter to the Dallas Mavericks fans. 7 years ago, I came here as a teenager to pursue my dream of playing basketball at the highest level. I thought I'd spend my career here, and I wanted so badly to bring you a championship. The love and support you all have given me is more than I could have ever dreamed of. For a young kid from Slovenia, coming to the U.S. for the first time, you made North Texas feel like home, in good times and bad. From injuries to NBA Finals, your support never changed. Thank you not only for sharing my joy in our best moments, but also for lifting me up when I needed it most. To all the organizations I've worked with throughout the Dallas community, thank you for letting me contribute to your important work and join you in bringing light to those who need it. As I start the next part of my basketball journey, I am leaving a city that will always feel like a home away from home. Dallas is a special place, and Mavs fans are special fans. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Luka, 77. You notice how he didn't thank the Dallas Mavericks organization? He didn't thank the owner? Didn't thank anyone else in the front office? Clear and obvious, Luka Doncic could not disagree more with this decision. And by the way, heads up, National Basketball Association, heads the freak up. Because I'm going to guess over the next 3 to 5 years, while being a Los Angeles Laker, Luka Doncic is about to go off. Like off. And Dallas Mavericks fans, Nico Harrison, and that entire organization just have to sit there and go, what the hell did we do? And just as a friendly reminder, okay, the track record for your boy Nico is this. Traded away Jalen Brunson, didn't want to sign him to a 4-year, $55 million deal. Think about that now with the way he's dominating for the New York Knicks. Traded away Kristaps Porzingis, who became a champion and, again, probably the best version of himself when he got to Boston, and is now traded away Luka Doncic. So the Dallas Mavericks general manager really looked at the point guard of Jalen Brunson, the all-around player outside of maybe defense of Luka Doncic, and the big shooting ability of Kristaps Porzingis and said, nah, we're good. And you know what? The Kristaps and Jalen thing still worked to a degree because they got to the finals last year. So I feel like he really exhausted the ring on that one. What a track record for this guy. He is putting on his resume right now in Nico Harrison. I'm going to take a quick break. We got a track record to uphold as well in terms of the payment of this show and the commercials we got to get to. We're going to do that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk quickly about De'Aaron Fox and the San Antonio Spurs. And I want to finish with Myles Garrett because I find that story very interesting. But ladies and gentlemen, this is that week or that time when every day you should be tuning into the Rome Show at 7 a.m. because so many stories are going to be breaking that we have to break down for you. So much like every day, I need you to stay with us, okay? After this commercial break, we'll talk so much more. I can't wait for it. The Rome Show, 12 OZ Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah, the Rome Show. 12ozsports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube, X, Roku TV. Comment live on YouTube and X. We'd love to talk to you. We're talking NBA trades and NFL trade requests today on the Rome Show. 12OZ Sports on social media or the Rome Show 1, whichever. Follow us and comment. Before the break, we were talking Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis. That wasn't the only major trade over the weekend in the NBA. Again, like I said, a lot was going on in the NBA this weekend, including a 3-team blockbuster deal that sends De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin to the Spurs. It sends Zach LaVine and Sidney Sissoko to the Kings, and Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter to the Bulls. The Bulls also get a 2025 pick back, which was their own that they had traded to the Spurs at another time. The Kings also get a 25, 27, and 31 first-round pick, as well as a 25 and 2 2028 second-round picks. De'Aaron Fox has a career average of 21.5 points per game, 6.1 assists, and shoots 47% from the field, while Zach LaVine's a 24 and 4 guy shooting 47% from the field. Those are the two major pieces exchanged in this deal. We'll take a look at the NBA standings as all of these trades seem to play themselves out and show us what we have to look forward to. If you look at the Sacramento Kings, they're sitting in the 9 spot. You look at the San Antonio Spurs, they're sitting in the 12 spot. And now you have a chance for one of the best point guards in the league that's been in Sacramento for the last 8 years. One of the best point guards of our generation in Chris Paul, and soon to be one of the best bigs in the league, or already is, in Victor Wembanyama, have been added to the mix in San Antonio, hopefully trying to make that second half surge, not only into the play-in, but into the playoffs. If you look at all of the teams involved in trades so far, the Lakers sit at the 5 seed, the Mavs at the 8, the Kings at the 9, and the Spurs at the 12. A lot of trade news surrounding Golden State as well. However, Jimmy Butler informed Golden State that he would not sign an extension if traded there. So now that is off the table. I find it mind-blowing that Jimmy Butler thinks he has any leverage whatsoever, but that's neither here nor there. Just to take a look at it, here is the Eastern Conference standings. Not as much shifting has gone on in terms of these teams and the trade market. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls were just in the mix there. receiving Zach Collins, 2 others, and a 2025 first-round pick. But I don't think that's going to do a lot for them this season. So a few trade there between the Kings and the Spurs and the Bulls that really, in my opinion, sets both of those teams up, the Spurs and the Kings, for long-term success, as well as potential short-term success that maybe jolts this season a little bit more. So we'll keep monitoring the NBA trade situation as the next few weeks go on and we get to that trade deadline, a few days, But I think the biggest splash has already happened clearly. And I got to say, in the next 5 to 10 years of the NBA trade deadline, this could be one of the biggest trades. Kevin Durant said it best yesterday in an interview after the Phoenix Suns game. He said, if Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis can get traded, nobody is safe. And that's right. And so who knows? Who knows what might come of this in the next few days. Speaking of trades, a few trades have been mentioned in the National Football League. The first one being Myles Garrett in Cleveland, the 2023 reigning Defensive Player of the Year, has requested a trade out of Cleveland because he wants to play for Super Bowls. And then on the flip side, the Rams, they informed Cooper Kupp that they'll be trading him or looking for trade suitors for him this offseason. And you thought, oh, wow, it's the NBA trade machine is heating up. And it's like, oh, like I said earlier, the NFL said, hold my beer. We got a little bit more time to get into Cooper Kupp because the Cooper Kupp one is an organizational decision, which I find very interesting. They have Puka Nacua. There's been some conversation about what's going to happen with Matt Stafford. So something to monitor over the next few weeks. But Myles Garrett legitimately, and I put the message up on the screen, wrote a letter to Cleveland fans expressing his want to request a trade. Here is the letter on your screen. I'll read it for the people now. Myles Garrett said this: as a kid, dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. And that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. And who blames him? Seriously, who blames Myles Garrett for asking to be traded from the Cleveland Browns? You have an atrocious quarterback situation. You have a general manager that committed guaranteed money to a quarterback that honestly looks like he's scared of his own shadow, is grossly inappropriate as a human being, and probably doesn't deserve to be in the National Football League anymore. Therefore, you have players that also don't believe in that quarterback, and it's clear and obvious that the quarterback that you should have kept, who you drafted to be in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, should have stayed. And with all that being said, Myles Garrett is also top 2 or 3 defensive players in the league year in and year out. Through 8 seasons in the NFL, he's got over 100 sacks. He's only one of 3 players to do that. So, yeah, I don't blame him for not wanting to waste his career in Cleveland. And here's the difference, okay, between like the Jimmy Butler situation in the NBA and the Myles Garrett situation in Cleveland. Myles Garrett has every right to request a trade out of Cleveland. He's given them 8 years, never complained once, obviously had some crazy moments, you know, you swinging the helmet at the one quarterback for Pittsburgh. I get it. But at the end of the day, gave literally everything he could to that franchise, clear and obvious, okay? Has been there his entire career, was drafted there, okay? Went through probably 3 different head coaches, 4 different quarterbacks. Like, he's been through the gamut and respectfully has requested a trade, whereas Jimmy Butler's just an a-hole. Sorry, not sorry, okay? He just wants to leave because he just wants to leave. He's over Miami. He wants something new. That's not how it works, okay? And I love what the Miami Heat are doing to Jimmy Butler. Well, screw you. If it doesn't work for us, we don't care. We're not trading you just to trade you, okay? And I think it's funny that Jimmy Butler thinks he has any leverage whatsoever based on the way he's acting, whereas Myles Garrett seems to me like he's handling this the appropriate way. Do I believe that any player should, in theory, request a trade? Probably not. But I feel like there's certain circumstances like this one where you're literally in a morgue for your entirety of your career. Like, if he doesn't do this, he's obviously going to have to wait 2 more years to be a free agent, with which he'll be over 30 years old. And a whole lot is different when that happens, especially in the sport of football. And it is so hard to get to a Super Bowl. Ask Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So for Myles Garrett, he's looking at it going, I got no chance here. I got to get the hell out of here. So very interesting to see how that matriculates, because last week, the general manager of the Browns said he would never trade Myles Garrett. So between the Cooper Kupp news in LA, Myles Garrett requesting a trade in Cleveland, and 2 major trades going down in the NBA, it is starting to mix up like we got a fun few weeks ahead of us. Because just remember, Rocky Romanella is usually on this air on Tuesdays for Hockey with Rocky. He's not today. He's got work obligations. But he has mentioned a bunch of big trades in the NHL, including the one that happened with the Rangers and JT Miller. So everything is popping off in sports right now, and it feels like it shouldn't. We should just be getting ready for the Super Bowl. So fun times in the sports world. Tomorrow, I'm already going to tell you, we have to talk about this MLB umpire situation. If you don't know it, I'm just going to tell you this. An MLB umpire has been fired for potential betting scandal over the last year, and he was probably the best umpire in the league over the last few years. So we're definitely going to have to talk about that. Plus, some more falling out from these trade requests or trade demands, and Cooper Kupp's notes on his feelings about LA telling him he's going to be traded. So tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, you need to tune back into the Rome Show so we can continue to break down the nuttiness that is professional sports. Until then, we do this.
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na na.
Banana. That's right. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've brought ourselves back to over 500, 35 and 34. Over the weekend, we went 2-0. We chose the 76ers at plus 8.5 against the Nuggets. Nailed it. They only lost by 3. And we chose the New York Islanders money line against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they won in overtime. 2-0 weekend for the kid. Let's get to today. 1 in the NBA and 1 in the NHL. First and foremost, the aforementioned Dallas Mavericks, they got slaughtered in their first game without Luka. Anthony Davis, by the way, got traded, is hurt. Kyrie Irving is hurt. Spencer Dinwiddie might be the best player starting in their lineup tonight alongside Klay Thompson. So they take on the 76ers, who are also not very good. They won 4 straight, then they lost 2 straight. So both teams are 4-6 in their last 10. The 76ers are favored by like a point. I'm going to take the 76ers, who over the last 20 games are trending in the right direction and don't have turmoil in their locker room right now. So give me the 76ers over the Mavericks money line. And then the Detroit Red Wings, they travel to Seattle to take on the Kraken. The Kraken are 5 games under 500, whereas the Detroit Red Wings have won 6 straight, arguably playing their best puck in the last year and change. So much like the 76ers, I will take the Detroit Red Wings on the money line, and those are my 2 banana picks for the day. And that's the Rome Show here on a Tuesday, February 4th. We hope you enjoyed it. If you missed any part of the show, you want to share it with a friend, go to YouTube or go to the podcast, Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can share any of that. Back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., we talk Cooper Kupp, we talk more sports news, and we have fun with you. Andrew Romanella, 12 Ounce Sports. Peace!
Thank you for listening.